Hello, today I thought I would share with you how I make a frog mug. And as a potter, a mug is probably the most intimate object that I make, or any potter makes, because it's something that we hold in our hand, we hold it close to our heart when we're using it, and we put our mouth on it. And so it's a piece that, even though it looks simple, it takes some thought and some care to have it be comfortable and that just right fit, that when you open your cover you reach for that one, because that's the mug that you know is going to start your day off and make you feel good to use. So I threw some mugs yesterday. So when I throw the inside and I throw the outside to about here. Then the next day, when they're stiffer, I turn them over and I trim the bottom. So that's what I've done so far on this mug. So the next step is to put the handle on. So I use a little bit of slip and I make a couple of sticky spots and I scratch up the mug to make sure that this clay is sticky and receptive to the handle. So the next step is that I take a handle. I pulled these a little while ago, so it's a little bit floppy still, but I'm going to go ahead and put it on. So I go ahead and press it into that spot that I just scratched, and then I fold it over and press it into the other spot, and I check the height of it so that the handle's the right size. I cut off the extra, and then I check the mug this way to make sure that the handle's straight and that it's not leaning one way or the other. So when I make sure that the handle is where it needs to be, then I reach in and I start smoothing and blending the clay from the handle into the clay from the mug. And I do it on the top and the bottom. And I blend it so that it's really well attached and you can't really see where the two are joined. And I use a stick tool to get in where my fingers can't reach. And then I use a little, forgot to get all my tools together. I use a little stamp that I picked up when I was in Hiroshima, Japan. And so the word on the stamp is hope. And so I stamp my little wish of hope for everybody out there in the world onto the handle of each one of my mugs. And I always think it's just sort of a subliminal message that's there with the mug, whether you know it's there or not. And I think that maybe it brings the world a little more peace and calm, which is certainly something that we all could use about now. So after I get the handle on, then I use a press mold, which looks like this, and I've got a toad, a frog, and a lizard on this one. And I take a ball of clay and I press it, let's see, you can see it. I press it into the mold, and so it's all the way in there. And then I use a little bit more clay to lift the impression out. And then there I have my frog. So from there I go ahead and cut it out, which I've already done here. And then I'm going to smooth it out a little bit with a sponge and attach it to the mug. So it gets cleaned up a little bit. And I'm going to get the mug a little bit damp. So this one I'm going to put on the handle. I either put them on the handle or I put them across from the handle so that whether you're right-handed or left-handed, you can still drink out of my mug. Okay, so the frog gets pressed in wherever he's going to be sitting. And then from there, I go back in and I clean up the frog, the shape of the frog, because he's gotten a little distorted from everything that I've done. And I keep checking the curve of the handle so that it's where I want it to be. And I make sure that his nose points down enough so that there's room for a person to use the mug without the frog banging into them. And I go in and I resculpt his hands, and I'll fix his face a little bit, and just generally fine tune him and make sure that there's no sharp edges and that he is going to be a nice little frog. So the whole thing dries together and fires together. So the frog and the handle are all basically one piece at this point with the mug, and so it's very strong, and people always worry about the frog snapping off or something like that, but it's every bit as strong as the handle because it's really all a part of the same thing. So that's a frog mug. Enjoy. I hope that you have a special mug that you like using every day that brings you pleasure. And if you ever want a frog mug, let me know and I'll ship one off to you. Thanks. Bye.